Welcome, you're watching News Now with me, Anjali Palod, and tensions are escalating yet again after a top aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin made a chilling reference to so-called dead hand nuclear retaliation system. U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed a threat was made and that he responded by moving two nuclear submarines closer to appropriate position. Trump stated that the deployment was a precautionary measure in light of the threats he says were made by the Russian side. Let's listen in to what President Trump said.
We had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people. To read what he said, he was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Well, to discuss this further, we are joined on the show by Professor Madhav Nalapat, the Vice Chair of Manipal Advanced Research Group. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, sir. Right. So, sir, first of all, I want to understand from you the significance of the comments that have been made by President Donald Trump.
Look, I want to say that I think Medvedev made a mistake. He completely either did not understand or disregarded the personality of President Trump. For President Trump, every word, every statement, every tweet is personal. And he responds, if I may say so, in a very non-proportional way to any words. I mean, President Putin was very careful. He was very measured in his responses to Trump. Unfortunately, Medvedev went too far and talked about a nuclear war, even if both countries are destroyed. The dead hand essentially means that even if both countries, the policymakers are completely wiped out, the nuclear attacks will continue to go on, and the whole world is going to go up in radioactive smoke, because nobody will survive that. Now, that kind of a threat is frankly, I mean, I would say it's surprising coming from a person of Medvedev's stature. And Trump has responded in the only way he knows how to, which is disproportionately. I mean, sending nuclear submarines there may be making good optics on television, but the reality is that among the superpowers and among even other countries, a nuclear war is absolutely out of the question. So I just want to say, I think Medvedev miscalculated the kind of adversary he's facing in Donald Trump, adversary of words, I mean, and he made some statements which are frankly unfortunate and which Trump naturally and very expectedly responded in a very non-proportional way. So I think Medvedev needs to follow Putin's line of taking things calmly, taking things coolly where President Trump is concerned, and taking things far, because Trump has been looking for an agreement with Russia, and I think that is too big a price. I mean, peace in Ukraine, an honorable agreement for Russia, Russia being welcomed back into the U.S. As a friend. All these are too valuable to throw away on the basis of an angry post, and frankly, a very avoidable post on the part of Dmitry Medvedev.
And is it safe to say that Donald Trump refuses to learn a lesson even after Putin's stone-cold stance on this?
Look, Donald Trump learns lessons from one person only, and that is Donald Trump. That's about it. But the fact of the matter is, he has assembled around himself a very able group of people, whether it be RFK Jr. in health, whether it be Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, whether it be in so many fields. He has assembled among the best people that you can find in the U.S. And these people are very focused on the real threat to the U.S., which is coming in the Indo-Pacific, and which is coming in the Chinese effort to dominate the Indo-Pacific. So frankly, I think one should learn to handle President Trump. One should learn to understand his personality and not do things which will set him off. I frankly feel the Russians have too much to lose and the world has too much to lose uh, by somebody going, in a completely irresponsible direction and talking about a dead hand. I mean, that is a totally irresponsible remark to make and reminiscent of the old Cold War. And when now you're in a new Cold War with China, I can only say that Xi Jinping will be very happy at the remarks that Medvedev has made and very happy at Trump's reaction to them.
Is it safe to say that Trump still believes in the August 8th deadline?
Look, as far as Trump is concerned, we are not sure about anything. We are not sure about deadlines. The way to deal with him is quiet diplomacy. One problem that we are facing with the with the core members of the Trump team is that Trump and his core members don't like officials, whether serving or retired. And frankly, as far as we are concerned, our diplomacy is conducted entirely through officials serving or retired, and non-officials are only those people who basically go and do and say what the officials want them to say. I think we have to understand Trump. We have to understand the way of dealing with him, dealing with his core team, and we have to understand them very quickly because the point of the matter is 6 months have gone by, and that's enough time to understand a person. And of course, the Prime Minister Modi is a very quick study. I'm sure he must be getting lessons from all this, and I'm sure that he'll make the necessary adjustments. But again, I repeat, neither Trump nor his team welcome officials, serving or retired, to deal with them. And they require people who are, frankly, contrary to what you're seeing in some posts, people who are independent of the officialdom, separated from officialdom, even in terms of, for example, echoing their views. Many think tanks, for example, in several parts of the world, they basically echo the views given to them by the department that is funding them. Those are not think tanks. There's no need to think when the department does all the thinking and all you become is a kind of a megaphone or a mouthpiece for voicing the same point of view. So I think we have to learn to get a structure in place that can ensure that relations with the Trump administration go on an even footing, because the US has too much to lose. We have too much to lose if the relationship between India and the US goes sour. Both countries have a lot to lose, and friends in the US know this very well. Friends in India know this very well. And what is worrying me is the kind of rhetoric we are now seeing in India. Rhetoric from sources that are certainly been very friendly to the present government. And that rhetoric is not only anti-Trump, it's becoming anti-US. The reality is India needs the US needs India. And please don't conflate the US with Trump. And please don't conflate Trump with some of his truth social posts. So please, let's have a balanced view of the whole thing. And if we take a balanced view, we will write this out. As has correctly been said in the External Affairs Ministry, India and the US have faced many a storm together, and we will write this out as well. There's no doubt about it. But to write this out, you need a craft that can handle this kind of wave properly.
Professor, now it appears that President Donald Trump has sort of opened up fronts against multiple countries, India, Russia, Canada, as well as Brazil. So do you feel that in a way he's acting as the world's president at this point?
Look, I just want to say that when you try and do everything all at once, you don't succeed very far in achieving anything. It's far better to focus on the most important situation, and the most important depredator where the US trade balance is concerned is China. Now, for example, if you manufacture goods in India, the reality of the situation is that US tech companies will be globally competitive. If you manufacture them only in the US, After 4 years of President Trump, I'm sure there'll be a situation there where you can manufacture properly, but not now. This is not instant coffee that you can make in a hurry. Instant professionalism, instant workforce. You can't do that. Trade workforce. So for that reason, you need your people in different parts of the world who are your friends, who are your partners. Do friend shoring, and I think President Trump needs to get that memo. Certainly, I mean, I think both sides need memos written out by people who understand the other leader and his methods and the methods of his team well. And we cannot have a vacuum in this understanding. And there seems to be a vacuum on both sides, on our side as well as on the US side. And I think this vacuum is dangerous. It can be filled with undesirable elements. I'm seeing some very toxic social media posts in India about the US in general. And this is worrying me for a simple reason that we and the US need to work together. And the US is not just a few, tweets on Truth Social. The US is much more than that. The US is much more than a president. The US is much more than all that. And the US-India relationship is worth a lot more than, frankly, neither side can afford to have that relationship go sour. I don't think it's in any danger of going sour. I mean, Prime Minister Modi is a very, very cool person. He has not responded at all to any of this and that's very correctly so. On the other hand, President Trump has an outstanding team around him. And I think, let us with cooler heads and cooler minds and a better understanding, learn to live with each other, because I think there's no other way than to live with each other in a situation where an aggressive power is trying to take control of the Indo-Pacific. And that is bad news for India, it's bad news for the US, it's bad news for everybody other than China. So frankly, I think the stakes are too high for any mistakes to be made, nor any vacuums to be created. And I think we need to fill that vacuum in a proper way, and that we need to work on ensuring on the US side also, the friends of India, whether the defense relationship, whether the other relationships, they're all proceeding smoothly. Even as this kind of tension goes on, those relationships are proceeding smoothly, and I'm heartened to see that. So frankly, I think the relationship is just
Professor, sorry to interrupt you there. We will come back to you. But first, let's listen in to what the MEA official Randhir Jaiswal said on the India-US ties at the press conference yesterday.
And the United States share a comprehensive global strategic partnership anchored in shared interests, democratic values, and robust people-to-people ties. This partnership has weathered several transitions and challenges. We remain focused on the substantive agenda that the two countries have committed to, and are confident that the relationship will continue to move forward.
Right. So, Professor, right now, Medvedev versus Trump. Now, this does seem like this will be music to Zelensky's ears.
There's no question about that. And I think the MEA reaction was very balanced, and it handled the situation very well. The MEA has not overreacted. The MEA has not gone and made comments which are negative on President Trump. In fact, the MEA has been following the lead of the Prime Minister, who has been very measured in this matter. So I think this is absolutely the correct way of dealing with the Trump White House, and I think that this needs to be done. I mean, as I told you before, on the Russian side, I think Medvedev made some unfortunate comments, and I'm very happy to say that on the MEA side, I'm certain under coordination with the PMO that mistake has been avoided. Because I repeat, for Trump, everything is personal. Every little thing can be conflated in something very big. And his reactions are always non-proportional, very non-proportional. So the important thing is not to set him off. And I think the important thing is therefore to keep a cool head and to keep a calm voice, saying measured, using measured language. That's what the MEA has done. I think that's what the Prime Minister is doing. And I'm very certain it won't be long for President Trump also does the same.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us on ET Now. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.